Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, that's Caleb, and guys, oh my goodness, it is game week. It is finally time for the Big Ten to return, for Husker football to return, and for us to finally get an official game predictions video out. Oh my goodness, I am hyped. Caleb, how you feeling?
Let's go. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Wow, it was quite a gauntlet to get here. It was peaks and valleys, highs and extreme lows, thinking there'd never be football again. The sun was never going to shine, but here we are. The week one, and
oh man,
we get a cupcake to start off.
It's such a cupcake. Dude,
Easy.
It's nice to get those dubs out of the way early, you know, in the season. Whew, man, it's so nice. So
Yeah,
nice.
I mean,
but guys, wow. If you
Ohio
haven't heard,
State?
we're playing Ohio State week one, Nebraska versus Ohio State. We're going to be going through it all today. So we're going to be going through, talking about the game, some of the previews for each team, talking about some question marks for Husker football, and talking about what we want, and talking about some of the most important aspects of Ohio State going into this game and how it could play out. So, first of all, the odds for this weekend, it's tough for Nebraska if you haven't yet seen. It opened up at 21.5, but it was not done there. It was not done yet. It has now moved to 26-point favorites for Ohio State with a 65-point over-under on the game. Yikes. Not a good side early on for us.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one. We've heard it a lot. Urban Meyer, again, has said it. All of their starters on their offensive side are probably going to be playing on Sundays. Not anything that has really been new. A majority of their guys do play on Sundays anyway, and they have yet another Heisman contender in Justin Fields.
Of course.
And it's not easy. It's not easier out here for Nebraska, or any other team that happens to have Ohio State put on their schedule. It's definitely not an easy one, and you're probably not walking away with a win.
So we're going to start out talking about Ohio State, kind of talk about some of the things that they're looking for heading into this game. Then we're going to talk about Nebraska and talk about some keys to the game and give our official final predictions. So without further ado, Ohio State. Obviously, like we said, Ryan Day's second year in the Buckeyes uniforms. And, the question is, what do they need to do this year they got their eyes set on national championship. So they have to decide what do they need to do game in and game out to build that resume to get to the playoffs. But lucky for them, the Big 12 has absolutely ruined themselves already. So they're looking like they have a pretty good chance. The winner of the Big Ten has a pretty good chance to get in at this point.
Yeah, Oklahoma is not getting in this year.
Yeah, Texas.
If you didn't know. We're back.
Yikes. Big oof for them.
Not happening.
Obviously on the offensive side for Ohio State, they've got some talent, out there. Like we said, Justin Fields, I set on a Heisman for himself, a Heisman and national championship. Kind of feels like a two-horse race between, Justin Fields and good old Trevor Lawrence in college football right now. But, Justin Fields, of course, is coming off of a 41 touchdown passing season, 10 rushing touchdowns, only 3 picks in his sophomore year, which is absolutely outrageous. He's primed to have another good year. Of course, there's a few questions around, who those weapons are going to be in the receiving core and how that could play out. But, how you feel about this offense for Ohio State?
Luckily they don't have Dobbins coming back, so
right, of course,
that's a plus, I guess. Their running backs this year are going to be Master Teague, who's a sophomore.
Yeah,
I mean, he did rush for 789 yards and 4 touchdowns last year, though. So.
Yeah, the question is, though, he got hurt in the spring. So the question is, how is he going to play now? Basically in full recovery up until this point with an Achilles injury. And so the running back's actually a little bit of a question because they have a transfer coming in from Oklahoma, Trey Sermon. And so I think Ohio State fans are interested to see how that split's going to play out for them. They don't have that workhorse running back coming into this year off the rip. So that's a little bit of a difference for Ohio State than we've seen the past, basically 3 or 4 years.
For sure. And then their wide receivers, you got Chris Olave, who's a junior, who worked his way up from a walk-on. So that's pretty cool for him.
Insane.
Had 49 catches for 849
He looked
yards
good last year too.
And 12 touchdowns.
Yeah. As a sophomore, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
And then,
he was third all Big Ten last year too. Ohio State's looking to replace KJ Hill, of course, which that's Garrett Wilson, sophomore, coming in to kind of take that spot. Ohio State's pretty excited to see how they play out. Got a ton of young talent behind those guys, including 5-star true freshman Julian Fleming. I think a lot of Ohio State fans are excited to see how he can perform this year and what he can bring to the table, if he's going to contribute early on, how that's going to play out. But a little bit less star-studded wide receiver core and and running backs than normal for Ohio State, I think. But I'm sure they'll be just fine. And there's always those guys that come out of the woodworks for them that end up being fantastic because of the depth that they've had with their recruiting classes lately. So I'd imagine they'll be just fine. And their offensive line should be pretty good as well.
Yeah, I mean, they have 4 5-stars, on that offensive line, which is pretty crazy. And they're returning 3-star starters in Wyatt Davis. And
he opted back in. That was huge.
Yeah, for them. So huge for them, not for us. But probably first team All Big Ten and All American. So
yeah. And I mean, he's going to be a first-round pick this upcoming year in the NFL draft. They have really high hopes for their junior center, Josh Myers, as well, coming into this year. I think a lot of Ohio State fans see him as a potential beast on the offensive line coming in again this year. So, last year they replaced 4 starters on the offensive line and were just fine. So I'm sure they're going to be fine replacing only 2 this year around. Time around. So they'll be just fine. So offensively, I don't have too many question marks for Ohio State besides which players specifically are going to really explode for them in the receiving core. But at the end of the day, with Olave, I think they should be just fine to move the ball and be very effective on the offensive side. I think the bigger questions come on the defense.
Yeah, for sure. They're replacing 7 starters this time, and they were all studs. Obviously, the biggest hole being Chase Young. There's no Bosa's.
Jeff Okudah.
Okudah, who's going to be that stud this year now for Ohio State? Feels like a lot bigger question on the defensive side than the offensive side for sure.
Those 7 tacklers were of course 7 of their top 10 tacklers last year, so they're missing a lot of key pieces for sure. And they have a new defensive coordinator. Kerry Combs is coming in, who was the Titans D-back coach, a former assistant for Ohio State. There's a lot of moving parts on this defensive side, which is where the question marks could potentially come in. But I think most Buckeye fans are pretty confident as a whole in the pieces that they have on this defense.
Yeah, the one who stands out for me most is redshirt junior Shaun Wade, who opted back in. He's just going to be a stud on that secondary and feels like he's going to be a really big key, especially with, Okudah leaving and a lot of those, guys in the secondary. I think he's going to really be a big integral part of their defense for them this year.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And they need that secondary to get revamped too. And they should be in a pretty good spot. Because there was even a few question marks in the secondary last year. And so this year, I think they need Shaun Wade to be an absolute unit out there. So they get kind of that rock, that island on the outside for them to free up their D-line to go and get the quarterback. I mean, the guy that a lot of people are highlighting, I think ESPN highlighted him, a lot of guys have highlighted him, is Zach Harrison, their sophomore defensive end, 5-star coming in, number 1 overall defensive end recruit, 6'6", 255. A lot of people see him as the next guy to fill the shoes of Chase Young. It is still a bet. It's not a guarantee by any means. He only had 3.5 sacks last year as a freshman. So as a sophomore, can he take that leap, get to that 10+ sack mark? It's interesting, but he is someone that I think we all have to watch for, and we're going to have eyes on this year to see if he can kind of transform and elevate that defense and be what they need him to be, that kind of star on the front line. They have Jonathan Cooper, a senior on the D-line as well, but he only played 4 games last year, limited. So he's another guy that I think they're going to be relying on coming back to be a rock for them and leader on that defense. In the linebacking core, Baron Browning, he's on the preseason watch list for the Butkus Award, and he will likely be a first-round pick as well. So I think he's kind of one of those guys in the linebacking core that you really got to watch to make those plays. And whoever our starting quarterback is going to have to watch out for him in the middle of the field.
You never feel comfortable playing against Ohio State, even losing 7 amazing, players.
We all know they have talent back there.
Yeah, exactly. And, hopefully, since it's the first game, maybe there's going to be some mistakes that are going to be made, some miscues with a lot of these new starters, and that's kind of the hope.
Yeah, less practice time for him this year.
Exactly. Yeah. A little less practice, maybe a little more comfortable with the playbook for the defense. Maybe they're keeping it really simple right now. Not gonna say that's not gonna work for him, but
right. Silver lining around here, boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But I think we can move on to Nebraska and talk a little bit about Nebraska before we talk about some of the keys that we have to have in this game. First of all, Nebraska named our 5 captains. A little update for the Husker fans, of course. Nebraska named our 5 captains: Adrian Martinez, Colin Miller, Dicaprio Bootle, Matt Farniok, and Cade Warner. I think was maybe the biggest surprise on the list. Probably maybe that and Colin Miller. Yeah, those are very noteworthy considering especially Adrian Martinez was named as a captain. So before we get into the rest of the team, I think we do need to discuss further our conversation that we had about Adrian Martinez and Luke McCaffrey. By the time you watch this, there's a pretty good chance that one of these guys is named the starter. I mean, if I had to hedge my bets at this point, it's going to be Adrian Martinez. Unfortunately, we had to record this before that announcement was made. And so once we post this, that might already be known. So we're not going to spend too much time personally debating which one. Depending on who starts, how does this affect the game? And who do you feel is most likely to start?
I mean, I think it's going to be Adrian again. We felt pretty strongly about that just headed into this year just because it was a short off-season, exactly.
Yeah.
Less starting time. That was less time for Luke to really get better and kind of prove it. And, especially if you're going to take over someone who's already a starting quarterback, you really have to earn it over a
And you got to win the
time.
Fans. And there's no red-white game to do that either,
Exactly.
What a shame.
Not saying he won't end up being, but I feel like Adrian Martinez, it limits our upside. We know what Adrian Martinez is. And everybody else has seen him. Ohio State's seen him. There's a lot of film on him. But not only that, we've seen his struggles, his turnover issues, especially last year.
And confidence on the road.
Confidence on the road. Confidence against Ohio State. After Ohio State and Okudah and Chase Young just did the things that they did to him, it seemed like he was never the same player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never again the same player. Yeah. So, but I think he's definitely going to be the starter. And
it feels like at that point.
But maybe because he's healthy, and game 1, I always feel like Adrian looks pretty much his best because he's at full health, that maybe it could be a good game for him. He always battles the injury bug every year. I'm assuming at some point Adrian Martinez will go down. It just happens at this point. It would be great if he didn't. Obviously, we'd love to see him be healthy at 100%. So maybe him being healthy and being 100% healthy gives us a little bit. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, for you Ohio State fans out there that are kind of coming to this what's happening with this? Last year, Martinez, heading into last year, was, a top 10 Heisman favorite, top 5 in some odds Heisman favorite, and it all went wrong. It all went wrong after the Ohio State game. You guys smoked us. Adrian had, 3 picks in that game? Thanks, Jeff Okudah. Yeah. And after that, all confidence seemed to be gone. He was incredibly inaccurate, indecisive, and just overall made bad play after bad play, cost us multiple games. And Pro Football Focus ranked him, I've mentioned this in multiple videos at this point now, ranked him as the 129th out of 130th quarterback in college football based off statistical analysis. And in big time throws, he was outside the top 110. It was bad. And he was not accurate when not under pressure either. And that's a big issue and a big red flag for being a good quarterback. Even though our offensive line was not good last year. And that's a lot of the excuses that, people are giving him.
Our wide receiver core wasn't as good. Our O-line wasn't.
Right.
But there was plenty of stuff outside of that worried me. Just his inaccurate throws down the field. And again, some of his just ill-advised passes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, whoever ends up starting, and you'll probably know by the time you watch this, but whoever ends up starting, I don't think it's necessarily going to affect our prediction too much.
No.
At the end of the day. But I think both of us assume Martinez is going to start, and we're going to approach this video as if he is. Realistically, I think all of us kind of assume, Frost's thought process is you let the veteran start game 1 against the stacked team and then go from there. Potentially it might be a let him burn scenario. That might just be what it is let the guy go out there, try to prove himself in a big time game, in a big time moment, and it could go all wrong. And if it does, that might be when you see Luke come in the following week or 2. So that's where we're at with the quarterback battle. Other updates: Omar Manning on the offensive side is a 4-star, 6'4" transfer coming in, the JUCO transfer coming in. It's a question mark of whether or not he's going to play. He's been a like a half participant in practice, not really participating in the individual drills. And it's a big time question at this point to see if he'll play. Again, this might be known by the time this video comes out. I mean, where are you at with this? I'm pretty on the fence with whether or not he actually ends up playing.
Yeah, I mean, apparently he was kind of sick and had some personal issues, didn't practice as much. It really just depends, I guess. You know, I'm guessing he'll probably get in there some if he's healthy. I think if he was healthy, he would get in some capacity, maybe not the starting role, but definitely see some snaps. So if he's healthy, I definitely expect to see his number on the field at some point, but probably not starting.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I would imagine we're going to try to work him in there, get him worked at least a little bit in the offense so we can have him ready to go by Wisconsin, because we actually have a chance, at least hopefully, against Wisconsin. And so we need to be at our best in that game. And so I 100% agree. And the other update is, Braxton Clark. We've lost Braxton Clark on the year. He was kind of like a pretty exciting, guy for this season.
Yeah.
That would have given our defense a lot of flexibility. He's a cornerback. We lost him this year, and that's going to force Cam Taylor now to play full-time corner, where before he could have been a little bit more of like a wild card type player all over the field, playing some safety, playing some corner where we need him, and maybe some nickel back. But now, Cam Taylor's full-time cornerback aside with Dicaprio Bootle. Deontay Williams will, be playing safety for sure now full-time. So those are kind of like the updates there in the secondary. So now, offensive side of the ball, how you feeling about this at this point? We're now less than a week out from the season, or from the beginning of this year. Where are you at with this team? Where are you at with this offense? And how do we move the ball against Ohio State?
I mean, I'm feeling better about our offensive line. I'm hoping that there was lots of improvements. I think there's lots of hope there that they got cohesive, that they learned
returning
some
all
things.
5.
Yeah, and we're returning all 5, and hopefully they worked their tail off this offseason, and they look pretty decent. So if that's the case, that'll be really exciting. Wan'Dale is where we start with our offense. He was our spark plug. It felt like he won us a couple games by himself. It's going to be nice to have him. I'm very excited to see how we're going to use him. I think it's definitely going to be more in a wide receiver role, but I'm excited to see, we're going to use him in all the ways that we can. And I'm excited to see him year 2, hopefully a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, all those things is pretty exciting. And then Cade Warner, our walk-on to captain. Well, it'll be interesting to see him too. Hopefully, again, just for him.
Watch out, Ohio State. We have the son of Kurt Warner on our team. All right.
Yeah.
This is you are hopeless.
It's over.
Easy.
And he has a mustache of power.
Oh, mustache of power. Facts.
It is just. I mean,
it's Gardner Minshew-esque.
Dude, it's plus 20 speed with that much. With that.
Absolutely.
With that mustache.
Plus 26 points.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's I mean, he's running a 4.2 with that mustache. It's just, he's a burner.
If only.
I'll be excited to see where he goes. Did he get a step faster? I mean, we knew he's consistent.
Hopefully.
He knows the plays. Could he have gotten a little bit faster? A little bit better and cleaner at running routes to get open.
I really do think our offense needs one of the young wide receivers to be a standout player. Legitimately.
Again, Omar, Alante Betts. We need one of those guys to really step up just right away.
Either Xavier Betts, Marcus Fleming, or Alante Brown needs to be probably a beast for this offense to really click this year. I mean, again, there is upside with our offense for sure. For sure, there's upside. I mean, we have a baked-in upside with the potential of an offensive line coming back and all 5 returning. This could be an amazing offensive line. There's a chance it could be. Do I think that's the case? Probably not, but there's a chance there. There's a chance that Omar Manning is an absolute unit. There's a chance.
Yeah.
Very possible. There's a chance
and I really
that
like
one of
Betts.
these. Right, exactly. Xavier Betts has flashed, and he could be a beast. So, and then you have that with Wan'Dale, who's going to be good. And then our running game, Dedrick Mills, really showed a lot of promise in our last 4 games
when
last
our
year.
O-line started to click a little bit. If he could get into that secondary, and if he had a yard or 2 to push, he did show some things. And
we saw what Devon Azigbo did in his senior year. So what can Dedrick do? That's the upside of the offense at the end of the day. And we'll talk more about the X factors there, but there's potential if we can just absolutely click as a unit. But it's probably still a long shot at the end of the day. So on the defensive side of the ball, though, again, we talked about our secondary. There's a chance it could be really solid. The big question marks for us come on outside linebacker, which has been a big time question mark. We're running 3-4.
Brutal.
So it's massive. It was brutal last year. And the coaches seem to not show much confidence in those guys right now at this point either. So I'm very worried about the outside linebacking situation. If Ohio State can run the ball effectively and they target those outside linebackers, we could be in trouble. And our defensive line, our front three, I don't know. We don't really know who's going to step up there and really contribute. We've heard some good things about multiple guys up there in the front three, and some of the transfers have shown promise. I don't know how much we can really talk about till we see them on the field at this point, because at this point it's all just coach speak and internal hype.
Yeah, I mean, our defense has fallen on the shoulders for a long time on the linebackers who have consistently underperformed or not performed at all. We've had one, like, when Luke Gifford played and he could play cleanup, but we had 3 other linebackers that I feel just failed over and over and over, missing assignments, over pursuing, not filling holes, just missing tackles, slow, couldn't cover, just everything that you could think of that linebackers couldn't do happened last year. So we need that to improve drastically. And if we can't stop Ohio State while running the ball, that there's no chance, because if Justin Fields is able to throw at will, which he probably will be able to, because he just does against everybody, and we can't stop the run, there's no chance. So hopefully our linebackers are good. Again, Colin Miller got that captainship. Hopefully that means he worked his tail off, and he's good. He brought us a lot of pain last year.
Yeah,
so.
Will Honus and Colin Miller are 2 inside linebackers last year. I mean, neither of them looked great. Will Honus showed some signs of explosive life at the end of the year. JoJo Domann's the X factor for us at outside linebacker. The biggest question is who's going to, I imagine he'll play the strong side, but who's going to play the weak side? That's the biggest question mark at the end of the day about who's actually going to step up and make that happen. We saw a handful of guys kind of swapped in and out last year to get that game time. And we got the transfers this year. Who's it going to be? Heading in to the keys of the game, obviously for Ohio State, the keys of the game come, attacking our outside linebackers and probably using play action to open up the middle of the field. We're going to have to trust Colin Miller and Will Honus to play that zone in the middle of the field about as perfect as you possibly can while still getting pressure. How's that going to happen?
And containing Justin Fields.
No.
And our linebackers being able to contain Justin Fields.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's definitely scary, to say the least.
It's terrifying.
But it's scary for everyone. Luckily, it's scary for everyone. True. Unless you're Penn State, who has some pretty good linebackers, who I feel are kind of the strongest linebacking core in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do. That's why we don't get paid the millions to coach.
On Nebraska's side of the ball, the key to the game on our defensive side is basically, I think it comes down to Cam Taylor and Dicaprio Bootle. If you can allow them to basically leave them on the island out there and you let the safeties kind of play forward and, help control that middle of the field, then maybe you have a chance. But that's so much pressure on Cam Taylor and Dicaprio Bootle to contain that outside. I mean,
and they're speedsters.
At some point, something's going to break.
And
right?
I love Cam Taylor. I think he is probably our best defensive player.
But he's known to take risks.
Yes. Which can bite you. Him and JoJo definitely, I think, are
they
two
play
most
for
exciting.
Turnovers.
And Bootle's just been consistent, man. He's been consistently good. He's tenacious.
Better.
He plays physical, and you know what? He can make the play most of the time. So I appreciate what he's done and glad that he's going to be here for a senior year. But besides those 3 guys, man, and Stilley, I guess. And Stilley. Besides that, I have just question marks all over for the other 7. So it's going to be interesting.
I mean, I don't really see a way how Ohio State doesn't move the ball effectively on the ground and at least underneath with slants, bubble screens, things like that to get the ball, maybe slip screens on the inside, those types of plays. I feel like that's how you're going to easily attack Nebraska's defense, especially with the athletes that Ohio State has. They're going to move the ball. I don't know how they don't score at least 35, 40 points.
Option plays just...
Oh, yeah.
Just
any type of speed, sweep to the outside to get to the edge quick, which they're going to be able to do. It's so scary. It's so scary.
It works so well against us every year. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's a good thing Wisconsin doesn't have a great running back this year because he might put up 400 on us.
Oh, yeah, because at least last year we had a great defensive line, great D-line. Where we knew that they were going to bottle up the inside at least.
Yeah, so on Nebraska's offensive side of the ball, I mean, a key to the game would be the offensive line stepping up and being great. Creating enough time for Adrian to not have to hurry his throws. And of course, your average key to the game is no turnovers. Duh. And that's everyone's key to the game in every game. But at the end of the day, how do you limit those turnovers? That's by winning, not winning, but at least containing that front seven from Ohio State, preventing Adrian from forcing him to make bad decisions and running the ball effectively. If we can run the ball at least efficiently, like you said, 4 yards a carry to give us a chance to move the ball down the field without having to force Adrian into second and third and long, then maybe we have a Hail Mary shot to compete in this game.
Yeah. If Ohio State's defense isn't as advertised and our offense can move the ball
right,
as good as we do the first drive of the first and second half,
right,
we have a great chance.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I guess we have to really, when it comes to keys to the game, the real question is, what does it take for Nebraska to have a shot? And like we said, the turnover battle. I mean, how many do you think it takes? What's the plus that we have to be in to have a chance in this game?
We have to be +3, I think.
+3.
They're gonna score points.
Oh man,
they're gonna score points. You know it. Everybody knows it.
Cam Taylor and JoJo are gonna have to pop that ball out like multiple times.
I mean, that's what JoJo had 2, right? When we were close that game, I think. Yeah, it was 2. Yeah. It was 2 fumbles.
I mean, that's what it's going to take. And I 100% agree with you. It has to be like in a situation where you're right. Ohio State's defense isn't as advertised. It's beatable. And in a first game of the year where they don't have film on how we want to run this offense with our new weapons, Omar Manning's healthy. This team comes out to play. Xavier Betts is solid. Wan'Dale has, room to play. Our offensive line creates space. Maybe we start moving this ball and we have a chance to win in a shootout.
With turnovers.
Yes.
Because again, I don't know. I don't trust our defense. I'd be really excited if it was good, but
that's the narrative that it would take, right? I mean, what other way? How else? I mean, we didn't even talk about special teams. I'm scared, right? And
we got a new coach.
Yeah.
But yeah,
our kicking has been atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that destroyed us last year. Why we lost close games was 100% because of special teams at times.
Oh, our punting has been so bad. Our punts,
our kick return, everything, our blocking schemes, our lanes, everything was so bad. It was painful. It was hard to watch. We in the Wisconsin and the Iowa game where it was very winnable games, kick returns for touchdowns. Again, our punting team was bad. We were just allowing yards.
So bad, dude.
Yeah. So if that is even, I can't imagine it is as bad as it was last year.
So that's why I don't know how anyone could rightfully pick Nebraska to really compete in this game. There's the what if scenario, the high upside chance that we have. We're going to give 2 predictions. One, what we actually think is going to happen. 2, the what if everything goes right for Nebraska? How could we win this prediction as well? Okay. So my first prediction is I think Ohio State's going to be able to do what they want on offense, especially on the ground. And we're going to struggle to move the ball. Our offense isn't going to be as coherent as we want to be. We're probably going to be -2 or -3 in the turnover margin. And I think we lose 52-20. It's not going to be pretty.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's the same way. Again, Justin Fields is going to throw a lot, and he's going to be accurate. And again, those play actions, those reads. He's a great quarterback, and he's been contender for a reason. And yeah, I think it's gonna be 56-21. So
I legitimately think the damage is gonna happen in 3 wide receiver sets, and whoever's playing slot corner for us is gonna get absolutely torched. Yeah. Like, I think that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be tight ends and slot is going to be absolutely
or they catch us on a zone and slot wide receiver.
And someone slips through and goes down the side, like from the middle of the field down the sideline.
Yeah, and just or just an inside seam from a tight end.
It's going to be inside seam. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it's going to happen. I actually think Bootle and Cam are going to play pretty well, and we're not going to get beat like over the top at least more than once. And
so, I mean, the tight ends could do damage. There was some hype. I was reading some articles.
There was some hype about the tight ends. Yeah,
they're tight ends. They're 2 tight ends and running some 2 tight end sets.
So that gets me scared.
Yeah,
that gets me really scared. So and then your predictions. What is your prediction?
56-21.
Yeah, I mean, it's about that zone that I feel like makes the most sense. The over-under is 26. I would probably take Ohio State to cover.
Yeah, I'd take the over, man.
And I would take the over in points because the over in points was 65 over under.
65.
So I would definitely take that over.
It really depends on how much points Nebraska's scoring.
Right. I mean, that's what they're saying. Or is it 50-3?
Yeah.
Or is it
if their defense? I'm thinking they're going to make some mistakes. So I guess I'd probably take.
That's why I think we're both giving us 20 plus. So yeah. So in a miracle scenario where our offense is working, our offensive line is a cohesive unit. We're actually pretty good. We start running the ball at least moderately well, and then a few plays start hitting, and we get the turnovers on the defense side. JoJo Domann and Cam Taylor force those turnovers. I think this is the miracle scenario, our like 5 to 10% chance to win. The miracle score of 43-40. Nebraska pulls off the literal miracle. Guys, I'm telling you, if we pull off a miracle, our reaction video will be nuts.
I'm sure
nuts. Yeah, we're getting canceled because things are gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna be crazy.
It'd be amazing. I can't wait for one day to roll up on like Sunday and get to record this on just
right.
I can't wait for us to have a 9-win season again where we can just be happy most of the reactions.
But what's your miracle score?
All right, my miracle prediction is it's 49-42. I don't again with the special teams. I don't know. It's gonna take a lot of turnovers. Yeah. I don't think we will win on a field goal. So it's gonna be a touchdown.
Well, we wouldn't win on a field goal. We would be like fending for our lives. That's how it would work.
Yeah, I think 49-42. I think.
Dude, if we were kicking a field goal from the 1 yard line, I would, if to win the game, it was 40-4, or like, let's say it's like 39-40, we're down. I would have a 0% guarantee that we are making this from the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
I would have no confidence whatsoever. Yeah. But I mean,
maybe it's college football just the way it is with the COVID season, more points have been scored. If more points are being scored like all these games, and there's been some crazy upsets. Feels very, very reasonable.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. So, of course, everybody, I'm sure you already have, but if you haven't already, drop your comment down below about what you think could potentially happen. What's your actual prediction? What's your hopeful Nebraska fan prediction?
Yeah.
Where are you at with this? Ohio State fans, shout out to y'all, by the way, for fighting together, wielding the sword against the Big Ten to get football back. And it should be a fun game. I'm excited for it. Last year, Caleb and I were at the game, the college game day game, and that was a sad
Dude, we were up at like 3:30 in the morning out there. It was awesome. Pre-gamed, had a great time until kickoff. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely,
I like Ohio State fans, man.
For sure. So. But we always pull for you guys, of course, in the national championships and college football playoffs, of course, as well. So go Big Ten. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, drop your comments down below. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, smash the notification bell. And we do appreciate you guys. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. That's Caleb. This has been Backseat Sports. And guys, we will see you next time.
Go Big Red.